Thank you for plugging into this Family Life News podcast, streaming issues-driven, family-focused news.
Our guest today is a return guest. Last week we talked with Dr. Wayne Lewis of Houghton University. We appreciate that you have joined us again so that you could offer us perspectives on a different topic. Could we start with what happens during Black History Month that you see as helpful?
It is helpful for us to have the opportunity to celebrate all of the African Americans who have come before us and contributed so mightily to the building and the flourishing of our nation. Black history is American history, and it certainly shouldn't be confined only to being celebrated during the month of February. But February is a time when we have the opportunity to spotlight, to tell some stories that maybe we don't get the opportunity to tell throughout the rest of the year.
At the same time, there are challenges in the way that races understand each other. What kind of things are happening Black History Month or year-round that actually work against the goals of those who are seeking equality and understanding?
Yes, we celebrate the history of African Americans. I think it is important that we are honest in telling the story, to recognize that our nation, which I believe is the greatest nation that's ever been, has had challenges and has had moments of triumph. My own ancestors came to this country against their will as slaves, that my grandparents lived through Jim Crow and segregation in the American South. My own parents were born into and lived as children in a segregated society in the U.S. South. It's important that we don't forget those aspects of our history. It is just as important that we're clear about how far our nation has come, and that the ideals that our nation was founded on continue to be perfected in the life of our nation. I don't know that we will ever reach the place societally where we can say we have reached the pinnacle, we have reached the point where there is no more racism, where there is no more discrimination. I suspect that there will always be work to do. But personally, I find it incredibly important as an African American to both recognize the challenges and the colorful history that we have had, as well as the triumphs and the reality of where we are. Recognizing that as a father of a young girl, as I talk to her and teach her about American history and the history of African Americans, that there are some painful lessons at age 8 that she's learning and she's trying to wrap her head around. That will be a challenge, I think, for all of our children, whether white, African American, Latino. But that's difficult for young people to understand. But to do that in such a way that she understands that the school and the community and the society and the church that she's growing up in today is not the same society that she's reading about and that her mother and I are teaching her about.
I don't think we hear a lot in at least the overall cultural things of how far we've come from 60 years ago or 30 years ago, celebrating those accomplishments. At the same time, we talk about the problems that to some level or other still exist.
I think both are incredibly important. And I will tell you, as an American, I'm so hopeful. As a Christian, I am incredibly hopeful. I see the hand of God at work from our nation's founding, throughout our trials, throughout our challenges, and in our triumphs. And I see God at work in today's challenges and in our societal conflict, even amidst our tension in our communities and on our campuses. And I have every reason to believe that God will continue to move us through even these challenging times.
Our guest, Wayne Lewis, is the president of Houghton University in Houghton, New York. Thanks for listening. I'm Greg Gillespie.